To the modern mind, nestled in the temporal and the tangible, the ancient Egyptian afterlife presents itself as a gallery of curious icons, a jackal-headed god, a feather placed upon a scale, a heart weighed against it, and the promise of a sun-blessed field of reeds. We have distilled this grand, intricate cosmology into a set of museum artifacts and simplified myths, a kind of spiritual antiquarianism that reassures us of our progress. We see the mummification process as a primitive, if elaborate, form of taxidermy for the soul, the Book of the Dead as a mere collection of magical spells to cheat divine judgment, and the entire endeavor as a monument to a culture's fear of extinction, its desperate clawing for immortality. But this understanding is a phantom, a shadow cast on a cave wall, missing the profound and startlingly contemporary truth of what the Egyptians actually envisioned. Their afterlife was not a remote, post-mortem destination, it was a radical and continuous process of becoming, a cosmic drama in which the individual soul was both the protagonist and the co-creator of reality itself. To truly grasp its meaning is to look beyond the golden masks and the canopic jars and to perceive a vast, metaphysical blueprint for existence, one that speaks not of an ending, but of a perpetual, demanding, and glorious beginning. The common perception is that of a linear journey: you die, you are judged, and if you pass, you enjoy a blissful eternity. This is a comforting fairy tale, but it misses the entire point. The Egyptian afterlife was not a static reward but a dynamic, perilous, and transformative integration. It was a voyage through the Duat, a word often translated as the underworld, but better understood as the inner world, the hidden architecture of the cosmos, the subconscious of the universe itself. This realm was not a place of darkness and punishment, but a landscape of potent energies and archetypal forces, a celestial circuit board through which the sun god Ra traveled each night, dying and being reborn at dawn. The deceased did not go to a separate heaven, they joined this cosmic crew. Their goal was to navigate the Duat's treacherous, 12-hour night alongside the solar bark, overcoming obstructive demons and illusory phantoms, not with brute force, but with knowledge, with the correct recitation of true names, and with a heart proven to be in harmony with cosmic order, known as Ma'at. This is the first great misconception we must shed, the idea of a final judgment as a single, climactic event. The weighing of the heart before Osiris was not the end of the journey, but the qualification for it. It was the initiation, the proof that one's constituent parts were intact and balanced enough to embark on the real work. The heart, the seat of memory, intellect, and morality, was not judged by an external god, but against the feather of Ma'at, the principle of truth, balance, and the fundamental harmony that holds the stars in their courses and ensures the Nile will flood. To have a heart lighter than the feather was not to be sinless, but to be in alignment, to be authentic, to have a self that was not weighed down by the leaden baggage of deceit, greed, and selfish action. Failure here was not eternal damnation in a lake of fire, but the true death, annihilation. The monstrous Amit, the devourer, who waited by the scale, was not a torturer but a recycler of failed consciousness, a cosmic function that reabsorbed that which could not maintain its own integrated form. The stakes were not pleasure versus pain, but existence versus non-existence. Therefore, the Egyptian afterlife is perhaps the most profound and sophisticated model of psycho-spiritual development ever conceived. It is a map of the soul's journey toward enlightenment, painted on the walls of tombs and written on papyrus scrolls. The mummy was not just a preserved body, it was an anchor, a stable reference point for the constellation of a person's being, the Ka, life force, the Ba, personality/mobility, the Ak, affective spirit, and the Ren, true name. The spells from the Book of the Dead were not magical cheat codes, but a psychological script, a guide for navigating the traumas and trials of dissolution and reintegration. They were affirmations, mantras, and maps of the terrain of the deep unconscious. To declare, "I know the names of the gods of the Duat," was to assert, "I understand the archetypal forces of my own psyche." The ultimate goal, the field of reeds, was not a literal marshland, but a state of being, a perfected, eternal version of one's best self, now aligned with the divine will and participating consciously in the daily resurrection of the sun, the eternal cycle of death and rebirth that sustains the cosmos. It was to become a star in the sky of Ra, an illuminated one, an Akh, a being of effective, shining light. This is not a relic of a superstitious past. It is a timeless, urgent invitation to see life not as a sprint toward a finish line, but as the meticulous preparation for an unimaginable, ongoing voyage. It asks us not what we believe will happen after we die, but who we are, right now, in the deepest, most truthful sense of the word, and whether that self is built of materials light and strong enough to sail the cosmic currents. Of course. Let us now delve into the foundational architecture of this vision, to move from the general horizon to the specific landmarks that give it form and meaning. The Egyptian afterlife, when stripped of its exotic fauna and strange nomenclature, reveals itself to be structured upon a series of profound, interlocking principles that are less about theology and more about a sophisticated understanding of consciousness, ethics, and the very fabric of reality. These are not random superstitions but the pillars of a coherent cosmic philosophy, whose resonance we can feel even in our modern, disenchanted world. Before any god was worshipped, before any pyramid cast its shadow, there was Ma'at. This is the first and most crucial theme to grasp, for it is the bedrock upon which everything else is built. Ma'at is not a goddess in the simplistic sense, she is the deification of a fundamental principle. She is the cosmic order that separates the universe from the primordial chaos of none. She is the force that ensures the sun will rise, the seasons will turn, the stars will hold their courses, and the Nile will flood its banks. She is truth, justice, balance, and harmony woven into a single, immutable law of existence. The entire Egyptian cosmos was not seen as a neutral stage but as a dynamic, living system that actively tended toward either Ma'at or its opposite, Isfet, chaos, falsehood, disorder. The role of every human, and indeed every god, was to be a guardian of Ma'at. This transforms the Egyptian worldview from a passive, faith-based religion into an active, participatory cosmology. One did not simply pray to the gods, one worked alongside them to maintain the balance of the cosmos through right action, true speech, and a harmonious life. The afterlife, then, was the ultimate audit of how effectively one had performed this cosmic duty. The famous weighing of the heart was not a judgment of sin in a Christian sense, but a measurement of alignment. Was your heart, the record of your life's actions and intentions, in harmony with the fundamental truth of the universe, symbolized by the feather of Ma'at? Or was it heavy, dense, and discordant with the music of the spheres? This was not about a list of transgressions, but about the specific gravity of your character. A second, and often misunderstood, core concept is the non-dualistic nature of the human being. We tend to think in terms of body and soul, a simple binary. The Egyptians perceived the individual as a composite of several distinct, yet interdependent, aspects. This is not a contradiction but a nuanced understanding of the different facets of our being. The Ka was the physical body, the anchor in the material world. Its preservation through mummification was not about a literal reanimation, but about providing a stable form for the other aspects to recognize and cohere around, a fixed point in the spiritual continuum. The Ka was the vital spark, the life force, the essence that distinguished a living person from a corpse. It was one's double, a spiritual fingerprint that required sustenance, which is why offerings of food and drink were so crucial, they were nourishing the Ka's energy. The Ba is often translated as soul, but it is better understood as the personality, the individual's unique character, their mobility and manifestation in the world. Depicted as a human-headed bird, the Ba was the aspect that could travel, that could leave the tomb and go forth by day, as the Book of the Dead states. It was the connection between the individual and the world. The Akh was the glorified, effective spirit, the ultimate goal of the afterlife journey. It was the integrated, shining form of the deceased, a being of light that had successfully navigated the Duat and now existed as a powerful, blessed entity, able to influence the world of the living and sail with the gods. Finally, the Ren, the true name, was considered a vital part of one's being. To know the true name of a god or a demon was to have power over it, because the name contained its essence. To have your name remembered and spoken was to continue a form of existence. This complex anatomy reveals a profound insight: the self is not a single, monolithic entity, but a constellation of energies. The journey through the afterlife was the process of first separating these components at death, and then, through immense effort and knowledge, reintegrating them into a new, perfected, and eternal whole, the Akh. The third core theme redefines the very landscape of the afterlife. The Duat is not a hell or a heaven in a geographical sense. It is the inner dimension, the realm of process, the subconscious of the cosmos where transformation occurs. It is where the sun god Ra travels each night, facing his own dissolution and regeneration. To enter the Duat was to embark on the same journey. This was a perilous voyage through 12 hours of night, each hour a region with its own challenges, hostile gates, obstructive demons, and illusory pitfalls. But these were not arbitrary torments. They were the externalized manifestations of inner shadows, doubts, fears, and unresolved karma. The demons had names like He Who Cannot Be Seen or Backward Face, representing the hidden and perverse aspects of one's own psyche. The key to passing them was not weaponry, but knowledge. One had to know the demon's true name and the correct spell to recite. This is a powerful metaphor for psychological integration. To overcome a deep-seated fear or a destructive pattern, one must first name it, understand its nature, and then apply the correct spell, the conscious intention, the therapeutic insight, the active will that neutralizes its power. The entire Book of the Dead, or as the Egyptians called it, the Book of Coming Forth by Day, is a guidebook for this inner journey. It is a collection of maps, passwords, and affirmations designed to keep the consciousness intact and directed as it undergoes the ultimate breakdown and restructuring. The goal was to emerge from the Duat, not just as a survivor, but as a renewed being, united with the resurrected sun at dawn. This transforms death from an end into the most critical phase of a continuous cycle of death and rebirth, in which the individual consciousness actively participates in its own apotheosis. Excellent. Let us now descend from the conceptual pillars and enter the shadowed, symbolic heart of the matter. For the Egyptians, truth was not merely stated, it was enacted, personified, and woven into narratives that operated on multiple levels of reality simultaneously. These are not simple myths for entertainment, but profound allegorical dramas that map the interior landscape of the soul. To understand the Egyptian afterlife is to learn to read these stories not as external events, but as the internal scripts of our own transformation. Imagine the sun not as a ball of plasma, but as the conscious self, the principle of light and order, which we can call Ra. Each day, this conscious self illuminates the world, the realm of the known and manifest. But as dusk falls, it begins its inevitable descent into the Duat, the hidden realm of the unconscious, the forgotten, the potential. This 12-hour journey through the night is the central symbolic narrative of all existence. The solar bark is not just a boat, it is the vessel of the integrated self, carrying Ra and his crew, other deities like Thoth, wisdom, and Horus, power, through the treacherous waters of dissolution. At the prow, the god Upuaut, the opener of the ways, scouts the path, representing the necessary function of intuition and foresight as we navigate our own inner darkness. The challenges of each hour are meticulously detailed. In one region, the serpent demon Apep, the embodiment of pure chaos and negation, attacks. This is not a random monster. Apep is the force of existential despair, the voice that whispers that all is meaningless, the inertia that threatens to halt the entire process of growth and return everything to formless chaos. The gods on the bark do not destroy Apep forever, they subdue him, bind him, and continue on their way. This is a critical insight: chaos and negation are eternal aspects of the cosmos. The work of the integrated self is not to annihilate them, which is impossible, but to continually overcome them, to bind them with the cords of will and purpose so that the journey may proceed. In another hour, the blessed dead, those who have become Aku, appear along the banks, their arms reaching out to the bark. They are not begging for rescue, they are helping to tow the vessel. This symbolizes a beautiful reciprocity. Those who have successfully completed their own inner journey now become part of the supportive structure of the cosmos, aiding the very principle of consciousness itself in its perpetual cycle. Your personal enlightenment is not a solitary achievement, it contributes to the sustenance of universal order. The story of Osiris is the human-scale counterpart to the solar cycle. Osiris, the wise and good king, is murdered and dismembered by his brother Set, the god of chaos, violence, and the unordered. His body parts are scattered throughout Egypt. This is the ultimate symbol of fragmentation, the psychological trauma, the life events, the betrayals and failures that shatter our sense of self, leaving us feeling scattered and lost. Isis, his sister wife, embodying devoted love and magical power, tirelessly searches for the pieces. She does not create a new body, she gathers the original fragments and, with the help of Anubis, binds them together, creating the first mummy. This act of remembering is the core of the narrative. It tells us that wholeness is not about becoming someone new or erasing the past. It is about gathering all the scattered parts of our experience, even the wounded and broken pieces, and integrating them into a new, cohesive whole. The process is alchemical. It transforms the raw, fragmented material of a life into a sacred, enduring form. The result of this reassembly is not simply a return to life as it was. Osiris does not resume his earthly throne. He is resurrected into a new state of being, as the Lord of the Duat, the righteous judge and king of the afterlife. His fragmentation and reconstitution become the source of his ultimate authority and wisdom. This is a radical reframing of suffering and death. The Egyptian afterlife suggests that our moments of being broken apart are not meaningless tragedies to be avoided, but necessary initiations. It is only through the process of being taken apart, examined, and consciously put back together that we can achieve a higher, more sovereign state of consciousness. Osiris, the once and future king of the psyche, represents the potential within us all to transform our personal history of fragmentation into a foundation of unshakable integrity and judgment. The weighing of the heart ceremony takes place in the hall of this reconstituted God because true judgment can only be rendered by a consciousness that has itself undergone and transcended the ordeal of death and rebirth. Finally, we arrive at the ultimate goal, the Aru, or field of reeds. The common imagination paints this as a simple, idyllic farming paradise, a celestial version of Egypt. But to see it as such is to miss its profound symbolic depth. It is not a place one goes to, but a state of being one becomes. It is the internal landscape of a consciousness that has been perfectly aligned with Ma'at. The field represents the fertile ground of a mind at peace. The reeds signify flexibility and resilience, the ability to bend with the winds of circumstance without breaking. The act of farming, of sowing and reaping, is a metaphor for the ongoing, conscious work of maintaining this inner state. Even in perfection, there is purposeful activity. In this state, one does not simply rest. One becomes an active participant in the eternal cycles. The texts speak of the deceased manning the ropes of the solar bark or becoming a star circling the sky. This signifies that the transformed individual, the Ak, has become a co-creator of reality. Their stabilized, illuminated consciousness now contributes directly to the maintenance of the cosmic order. They have become a permanent, effective force for Ma'at. This final symbolic narrative erases the line between the individual and the cosmic. Your personal journey toward wholeness is not a selfish endeavor. It is a sacred duty. By achieving inner balance, you are quite literally helping the sun to rise, helping to hold back the serpent of chaos, and adding your light to the illumination of the universe. The field of reeds, then, is the state of being where the inner and the outer are finally, and irrevocably, recognized as one. Let us now make the final, crucial turn, bringing the light of this ancient wisdom to bear upon the clay of our own daily existence. For a philosophy that does not eventually touch the earth, that does not offer a hand to the struggling soul in the midst of its mundane trials, is merely a beautiful constellation, distant, brilliant, and useless. The Egyptian vision of the afterlife, in its profound depth, is not an escape from life but the ultimate instruction manual for it. Its rituals, its maps, and its gods are not relics to be studied, but archetypal forces and psychological practices waiting to be embodied. To integrate this is to understand that we are not waiting for an afterlife, we are, every moment, constructing the vessel that will sail the Duat, and we are already navigating its shadows. The Great Hall of Osiris, with its scales and its feather, is not a courtroom we will one day enter. It is a chamber we inhabit with every choice we make. The modern equivalent of this judgment is the quiet, insistent voice of conscience, the gut feeling that tells us when our actions are out of alignment with our deepest truth. Each time we speak a falsehood to gain advantage, we add a weight to our heart. Each act of cowardice, of malice, of greed, is another scrap of leaden density. Conversely, each moment of integrity, each act of unforced kindness, each time we choose truth over convenience, we lighten the load. We are, in a very real sense, our own Anubis, placing our own heart upon the scale of our awareness, and our own Osiris, witnessing the result. The goal is not to achieve a perfect, weightless score, that is the province of the gods. The goal is to live with such conscious attention to this internal balance that we consistently choose the path of Ma'at, right speech, right action, right relationship. This is the practical, moment-to-mouth work of spiritual hygiene. It asks us to conduct a nightly examination, not of our sins, but of our alignment. Where today was I heavy? Where was I true? This is the lifelong preparation for the ultimate initiation, rendering it not a terrifying final exam, but a natural culmination of a life already lived in judgment. The physical mummification process was a 40-day ritual of purification, preservation, and consecration. Its practical parallel in our lives is the deliberate and ongoing curation of our character. The removal of the internal organs, the seat of emotion, instinct, digestion, and respiration, speaks to the necessity of not being ruled by our visceral reactions. We are to remove these aspects not to destroy them, but to preserve them in sacred jars, to honor them as powerful forces while placing them under the guardianship of higher faculties. The modern practice here is mindfulness. It is the act of creating a space between a stimulus and our response, where we can choose not to be enslaved by anger, the liver, by greed or mindless consumption, the stomach, by frantic anxiety, the lungs, or by unchecked passion, the intestines. The brain, unceremoniously discarded by the embalmers, signifies the death of the ordinary, calculating mind, the ego that believes it is in control. The wrapping of the body in linen, layer upon layer, is the process of insulating our core self with the protective bands of discipline, ritual, positive habit, and conscious thought. We are, each day, either wrapping ourselves in chaos or in order. The curated self, the mummy, is thus a self that is no longer subject to the decay of passing whims and external pressures. It is a stable, integrated form, capable of withstanding the dissolution of death because it has already been through a symbolic death and reorganization in life. We do not need to die to experience the Duat. We enter it in our darkest nights of the soul, in periods of profound grief, loss, depression, and existential crisis. These are our personal hours of the night. The demons that assail us are not literal monsters but the personifications of our own fears, the gatekeeper who says, "You are not good enough," the serpent of Apep that whispers, "Nothing you do matters," the illusory waters that threaten to dissolve our sense of identity. The Egyptian answer to these trials was knowledge. In our modern context, this is self-knowledge. It is the work of therapy, of journaling, of meditation, of spiritual direction, the work of learning the true names of our demons. To know that the voice of "you are not good enough" is named the wounding of a parent, or that the serpent of despair is named the fear of meaninglessness, is to rob them of their amorphous power. The spells from the Book of the Dead become our own mantras and affirmations. I am whole. I am enough. My life has meaning. I move through this darkness. This is not positive thinking, it is the conscious application of a mapped consciousness to an unmapped internal territory. It is using the knowledge of the journey to navigate the journey itself. To emerge from a deep depression, to find meaning after a shattering loss, is to be reborn with the dawn, your personal sun rising once more, stronger and more resilient for having known the night. The ultimate goal is not to survive death, but to become an Akh, a shining, effective spirit, now. This is a being whose consciousness is so integrated, so aligned with creative and life-affirming principles, that their very presence has a positive effect on their environment. This is the real-world implication of the highest order. It means living a life of purpose and service, where your unique gifts are honed and offered to the world. It is to be a source of light, not just for yourself, but for your family, your community, your field of work. The blessed dead and the Duat help tow the solar bark, the Akh in this world helps to sustain the fabric of society. This could be the teacher who inspires, the artist who reveals beauty, the healer who mends, the friend who listens, the citizen who acts with integrity. It is to understand that your personal transformation is not a selfish act, but a fundamental contribution to the Ma'at of the entire world. You are, in a literal and metaphysical sense, helping to keep the sun rising. By achieving inner coherence, you become a node of order in a universe straining toward chaos. Your illuminated life becomes a star in the collective sky, a permanent point of guidance and hope. This is the final, practical integration, to live with the awareness that this life is the field of reeds, if we have the courage to cultivate it, and that our every thought, word, and deed is either sowing the seeds of chaos or nurturing the harvest of an eternal, shining self. Let us now draw these threads together, weaving the gold of cosmic principle with the silver of earthly practice into a single, seamless garment of understanding. We began by pulling back the curtain on a common misconception, revealing the Egyptian afterlife not as a fossilized relic of superstition, but as a vibrant, dynamic map of psycho-spiritual transformation. We explored its core architecture, the immutable law of Ma'at, the complex anatomy of the soul, and the Duat as the inner realm of process. We then journeyed through its symbolic narratives, seeing in the voyage of the sun and the dismemberment of Osiris the eternal drama of consciousness confronting, integrating, and transcending its own fragmentation. Finally, we brought this celestial blueprint down to the solid ground of our daily lives, understanding that the weighing of the heart is a moment-to-moment choice, that mummification is the curation of a resilient self, and that our darkest hours are our own personal Duat, demanding navigation by the light of self-knowledge. The entire edifice of this ancient wisdom, in its breathtaking totality, converges upon one inescapable and transformative conclusion: the afterlife is not a where you go, but a what you become, and the entire workshop for this becoming is the life you are living right now. The transformational call inherent in this realization is not a whisper, it is a clarion call to a life of radical responsibility and profound meaning. It demands that we cease outsourcing our spiritual authority to external dogmas or deferring our existential homework to a nebulous future. The judgment hall is now. The scales are balanced within your own conscience. The demons you will face are the unhealed wounds and unchallenged fears you carry within you. And the glorious dawn of rebirth is the potential conclusion of every single day in which you choose courage over comfort, truth over deception, and integration over fragmentation. This is the ultimate refutation of the modern malaise of nihilism and alienation. You are not a random accident spinning on a lonely rock in an indifferent universe. You are a nexus of cosmic forces, a participant in a sacred ecology where your inner state has direct consequences on the harmony of the whole. Your journey toward inner balance is not a self-help project, it is a cosmic duty. By lightening your own heart, you are, in a very real sense, adding a counterweight to the universal scale, helping to tip the balance of the entire world away from isfet, from chaos, falsehood, and disorder, and toward ma'at, toward order, truth, and beauty. Therefore, let this understanding be a fire in your bones and a compass for your soul. Let it transform the way you meet your challenges, seeing them not as meaningless punishments but as the necessary gates of your own Duat, each one inscribed with the name of a demon you have the power to overcome through knowledge and integrity. Let it change how you interact with others, seeing in every heart another set of scales, another soul on its own arduous and glorious journey. and let it forever alter your relationship with your own past, viewing your scars and fractures not as shameful flaws, but as the scattered limbs of your own Osiris self, waiting to be gathered, honored, and rewoven into a tapestry of far greater strength and sovereignty than the untested whole ever possessed. The final, graceful truth of the Egyptian vision is that death and life are not opposites, they are partners in a single, magnificent cycle of renewal. The field of reeds is not over there, beyond a final horizon. It is here, in the fertile soil of a present moment lived in alignment. It is the field of your own consciousness, and you are both the diligent farmer and the harvest itself. Do not wait for an afterlife to begin living eternally. Become the Ak now. Shine now. Weigh your heart now, and sail forth by day, in this life and in all lives to come, as a living, breathing, effective force of light. The universe is not waiting to receive you, it is waiting for you to remember that you are already, and have always been, an essential part of its very fabric. The journey is not ahead of you. It is within. And it has already begun.